Welcome back. Joachim Mac Ebong, a Senior Analyst at SBM Intelligence, is joining me right now via Zoom. Hello, Joachim, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Nancy. Good morning, Nancy. Thanks for having me.
Fantastic. Let's get started. Why the Jollof Rice Index in the first place? Why not? Why, why are we analyzing jollof rice and not pounded yam index for people like us that love pounded
Yes,
yam?
absolutely. Great question to start. The Jollof Rice Index is so chosen because one of the most popular meals in the country, and the ingredients used to make it will give us a very fair idea of how food prices are across the country. Our index covers 11 ingredients picked from 13 markets across the country. And it covers a family of 5 people. So father, mother, and 3 children. Now, why did we pick 5 people? We picked 5 people because that is the average family size according to research done by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics. So we have tried to make sure that our basket of goods, that we use is as broad-based as possible, and that our measure is as close to the average family size for Nigerians.
Now, when I went through this jollof index, um, it was only done in Abuja, was it? Or did you survey other
No, no, no.
markets?
So we do it in 13 markets across the country.
Okay.
13.
Okay.
Abuja, Calabar, various markets in the southeast, as well as a couple in the north as well. So we cover every part of the country, every geopolitical zone in making our index.
Okay, so what you now did was to get the cost from all the 13 locations, and you, of course, an aggregate, then you had the average. So that came to 8,500
yes,
naira.
absolutely.
Okay, so out of these 13 locations around the country, where is it most expensive to prepare to cook jollof rice?
So the biggest increase that we've seen, is in places like Abuja, for example. Places like Abuja, places in Calabar, you had those spikes, but actually prices are actually increasing across the board, to be perfectly honest with you. And there is really no place, there's really no area where uh, uh, consumers are immune from these price rises. And I think that is one thing that we should make clear to everybody that's listening right now.
Okay, out of all the ingredients used in preparing jollof rice, which ingredient or which food item is most expensive? Because even before I came on here on set, I was asking my team and a few of my crew members here how much it takes them to prepare a jollof rice. Of course, they did tell me the student spec, that's the student specification. If you're a student, you will know what I'm talking about. All the items may not be there.
Yes.
Without rice, you make it in your house for 2,000, but with rice, 3,000 naira. And I was also told here, quick fixes, jollof rice, you spend an average of 5,000. If you want an assorted pot of jollof rice, you should be spending about 10,000 naira. So which ingredient really,
Yes.
Which food item is most expensive?
Yeah, so I think that one of the biggest increases that we are seeing is with the poultry. Even in Lagos here, the prices have really been alarming. I follow my wife to the markets on a fairly regular basis, and the price increases that she has reported to me are quite alarming, and they're actually reflected in the index itself when taken across the country. And so, because our index also includes poultry and beef, so turkey or chicken plus beef, when you add those together, you see that the jumps are really quite incredible, and many people have had to cut back on how much they buy, and they have had to also substitute with other forms of protein in order to ensure that they have some food to eat.
Joachim, how factual is that people are even substituting? Because if you take a look at it, beef is expensive right now. A kilo of beef in Abuja, averagely, I'm talking about, we say, a market. The last time I checked, a kilo of beef goes for 2,500 naira, 2,600 naira. That's a kilo of beef. For a kilo of turkey, it goes for more than that. We shouldn't now go for a kilo of fish, or what our people know as Titus fish or the mackerel fish. Now, with these proteins, you're seeing that these food items are expensive. The next substitute will be egg. A crate of egg now is close to 2,000 naira. Some people sell it. I don't know how much it is over there in Lagos where you are, but the last time I bought it...
It's over 2,000 naira in Lagos. Yes.
The last time I bought it in Abuja was 1,800 naira. So if people cannot eat beef, that's cow meat, you can't purchase goat, you can't purchase chicken, you can't purchase turkey, you can't purchase fish, you can't purchase egg. Even crayfish. Just put crayfish there, don't even put anything, just put crayfish and onions and, you know, and do the concoction of jollof. You can't even afford crayfish. Yes. A basket of, or is it a paint bucket is over 5,000? Yes.
So according to our research, there are a couple of main ways that we are finding that people are trying to adjust. First of all, they are going for cheaper parts of these animals. So they are going for things like intestines and so on. Also, they are buying much less of beef and turkey or chicken. And when they buy much less of this, they are having them cut into smaller pieces. And yes, some other people are going down to things like pomo and going down to things like egg, for example. So because egg, you know, even though it's about 2,000 naira plus now, you have 20 plus of them.
30 pieces
so
in a crate.
You can then segment that out over the course of a couple of weeks. So those are the main ways that we are seeing that people are really adjusting to these very crazy prices.
So what does this really tell us? If we take a look at the nutritional value in our foods now that Nigerians consume, I guess that would have reduced. You know, this is a country that we don't really keep data, because if people are going for pomo, which is being used to make bags and all of that, and people going for the intestines and the shaki and all of that, and people telling the butchers to cut the meat into smaller pieces so that it can last more. So you don't have to take like a very big chunk.
Yes, exactly.
You don't have to take a very big chunk. Those are signs of poverty, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I think that the demographic that's likely to suffer the most are younger children who need many of these proteins for their growth, the growth of their, for the proper development of their various faculties, both physiological and mental. And also, I need to also emphasize here that a lot of these issues that we are facing are self-inflicted due to the various policies that have not done what they are supposed to do, including insecurity as well, which has made transportation of various goods to be much more expensive than normal, and also prevented farmers from going to the farm. And so on top of all of these bad policies and the insecurity and all of that, you then have the external shocks that is contributing to a global environment where there is high inflation, or rather much higher inflation than people are used to. So, I mean, the inflation in the Western world now is averaging 6, 7, 8%. But in Nigeria here, we have been living with inflation that is north of 15% on average for the last 7 years or so. So while the inflation in the West is something that is very recent, ours has gone on for quite a long time and contributes in large part to the numbers that we are seeing in the Jollof index.
So insecurity is a major contributor to what we're seeing.
Yes, it is.
Okay. The other question is the major ingredient in cooking jollof rice, which is rice. What were the findings from that research concerning rice? And why I'm asking the question is, we've seen a lot more local production of rice. We know what the Apex Bank has done over the years, not just even about rice now, about with other commodities. I think about 21 of them: maize, wheat, many commodities, even poultry, assistance to farmers. This food item, which is rice, how much of it weighted on this index?
So the issue of rice is something that has been very, very controversial because of the ban on the import of rice into the country, because of the idea that rice farmers should be able to take care of local demand. However, that has not worked. It hasn't worked at all. And unfortunately, it's not going to work. So what has happened is the ban has only increased the gap between the produced rice and the demand and the demand for rice. And so that has only increased the price of rice in the market. Of course, we all know that if you used to buy rice in 2015 about 6,000 or so, a bag of rice now costs 7, 8 times that amount of money. And so you have this situation where the various things that the government has tried to do to increase the production of many of these local to increase production of many of these staple foods, many of them haven't worked, and that has led to the increase in prices and the food inflation that we have been seeing over the last 7 years. That is very high, 16, 17, 18%, sometimes even 20% in some part of the country. And we really need to take stock of these policies and really take stock of the impact of these policies in order for us to address the burden that it has placed on Nigerians, the burden that has been revealed in our numbers in the Jollof Index.
Okay, finally, Joachim, what should we expect? Perhaps the next Jollof Index that will be done. How regularly do you do this in the first place?
Sorry, I didn't get that question.
How regular is this index? Is it like every month?
Yes, so the Jollof Index is released for 3 quarters in the year. And so this one was for Q1 2022, there'll be one for Q2, and there'll be one for Q3. Typically, SBM does not release a Jollof Index for Q4 because of the seasonal jump in demand for rice due to December festivities. So we want to take that out so that it doesn't influence the index too much, being an outlier month, because there is plenty of demand, plenty of bags of rice being given out in December and so on and so forth. So that is what we do with that one. So we are going to get one for Q2 and Q3, and then the next one will be for Q1 2023.
Okay.
And now, so to your second question, about where we see the Jollof Index going, unfortunately for Nigerians, the only way is up. The only way is up. And the reason for this is this: the import restrictions for the various goods, for many of the goods that that influence the Jollof Index, especially rice, are still in place. Also, the various inputs that we need to feed the poultry that is grown, and also the imported poultry, and the various restrictions on those imports as well, are also still in place. And as such, because those restrictions are still in place, the prices are only going to get higher, particularly when you then include the higher inflation globally that is also impacting on our situation here. So it is a double whammy, as it were. So we have been laboring under our own self-inflicted issues now for the past 7 years. But then added to that is an inflationary environment globally that is on the high side. So the only way, unfortunately, is up. There are steps that can be taken immediately to ameliorate those effects, but we are not really confident that those steps are going to be taken for various reasons, because chief of which is the fact that all has now been surrendered to the politics and the politics of the coming election cycle.
That's an issue for another day. Like I said on the program, we're watching, we will continue to monitor, but I do know that the economic challenges ahead of the next leader for Nigeria, so huge. It's not all this lip service.
Nancy.
I'm telling you, not all this lip service and soundbite.
Is going to have an inbox unlike any other president in Nigeria's history.
Yeah, and beyond all the soundbite, I will do electricity, I'll do that. No, we want facts. I want to see it on paper. What do we generate? How are you going to do this? What are the issues? Those are the things we'll be interrogating. Not I will bring.
Nothing else should be
yes, not I will provide 750 jobs. Now, how? I want to interrogate it. Anyway, we are watching them. We are watching them. Thank you very much, Joachim Mac Ebong, Senior Analyst at SBM Intelligence.
Thank you, Nancy.
All right, that's the much we can take concerning that interview. We will be looking at what the price of preparing jollof rice will be in the next quarter and in the next quarter. And see, but just like you said, perhaps the only way is up, except something drastically is done. But that's not looking like it, because Russia-Ukraine invasion is on one side. The fuel scarcity too on one side, security on one side. Anyway, as we